Welcome to my first video of Confessions of an Anime Otaku Fan, or Otaku Confessions as I'm called.
Hey Otakers, what's up? It's us. Hey Otakers, what's up? It's me. Hey guys, welcome to the first episode of Understanding Ellie. Hey Otakers, what's up? It's us again. Hey Otakers, what's up? It's me.
Trying to stop it? You just tried to stop it, didn't you?
I mean, we haven't seen them in like forever. Like, don't they look different? Look, they got like a haircut or something. Hey, Takivers, what's up? It's me again, obviously, and this is really awkward because somebody's watching us right now. GG. Let's try this again. Hey, Takivers, what's up? It's me again, obviously, and today I'm gonna talk about dubbed versus sub. It's a common question I get. And a lot of misinterpretation, like when I was talking to somebody a couple days ago about the new, the new season thing that's coming up for Fairy Tail. Fairy Tail, that's what it is, because they're making new Fairy Tail parts. So I'm like, oh yeah, so I was kind of talking about, they're like, oh, no, I was talking about the original Japanese, because the dub sucks. And I'm like,
It does, though. Well, I mean, not that the voice actors suck, is
Yeah.
that I just don't...
It doesn't
I
work.
can't picture their voices like that.
So today I'm going to talk about dub versus sub, because I also get a lot of questions like, what does this mean? Like, people are like, what is this? Why is this in a different language? I do not understand. I thought you said that they were talking in English, you know. I get a lot of questions, like, when we're watching, like, a dub, like, on DVD, you can ask for subtitles, and then I'll put the original Japanese subtitles, and my mom's like, why is it different? Because they don't make new subtitles.
change.
No! Because, like, it'll say one thing on, like, they'll actually say one thing in English, and then the subtitles will be, like, the Japanese version of what they were supposed to say. And, yeah. Anyway, so I'm going to talk about the differences, the pros and cons of both. There is, the original sub-Japanese version. Some pros of this is that you could get, like, exactly what the intended sound was supposed to be, the intended cry was supposed to be. Like, some things don't exactly translate well. Like, some animes have cuss words in them, but in the original Japanese, they're not cuss words. They're just translated differently. Like, how we say, in America, we say bloody, but, like, in England, it's considered, in some areas in England, it's considered, like, a bad word, you know, like bloody hell, or, you know, something like that. So it's similar to that in that fashion. Subbed, it gives you the sounds that they intended it to be. It gives kind of like the right intent of what the creators intended it to be. Kind of this, my own personal con is that, I don't know about you guys, but like when I watch TV, I don't intend to read TV, I want to watch TV.
That's what my mom says.
Yeah. So, well, some of us are like that. I don't, like, I can't, like, look at the words and then look up at the screen at the same time and, like, just be, like, up and down, up and down, up and down. It gives me a headache. Because then, like, when something serious happens, I'm too busy watching the subtitles to understand what's going on. Which is not how the original Japanese intended it to be. You know, they didn't intend you to read the words. They intended you to listen and to watch because, like, something could happen, you know, something like that. On the screen and you wouldn't be paying attention. Another con for me would be that I don't relate well. Some people are like that, some people aren't. Like, and Sabrina here was showing me Sword Art Online.
Oh, hi.
She was showing me Sword Art Online, but at that time there wasn't a dub yet, so she was showing me the sub. And
She didn't cry at the part where
Yeah.
we watched the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
yeah, so like when there was like this super, super sad part, I didn't cry. And she's like, you're so gonna cry. I cried for so long. And I'm like, I'm not crying. It's because I read it instead of, like, hearing it. I suppose if I heard it in English first, yeah, I would have cried. Because, I don't know, it just kind of desensitizes it for me. I don't relate well. So, like, if somebody, like, cheated on somebody else and they said, I cheated on you in Japanese, I'd be just like, oh, okay, they cheated on that person, you know, whatever. But, like, if I hear somebody say, like, like, it's, like, heavy, sad voice saying, I cheated on you, like, that's different to me, because, like, I don't understand expression very well in Japanese. I guess that's because I don't know Japanese really well. So, like, it's the same thing, like, with how, in Japanese, I don't know if you've heard this, but, like, there's different, like, accents and dialogues. But when we hear them, those of us who can't really speak Japanese, when we hear them side by side, we think they sound the same. I mean, right? Like you can't really imagine Japanese in an accent. Like, you can't. And, it's something like that, where, like, you can't really understand. It's the same thing as, like, also, like, whenever they say, like, as an example, whenever Inuyasha and Kagome say each other's names, it sounds so weird in the sub. Kagome! And Inuyasha! But, like, so it's awkward, you know, it just doesn't sound right to us because we're not used to hearing like that pitch of a voice or that way of speaking. Another reason is, like, you know, you always picture girls with like these high pitched voices and they're always like that, and that's just how they talk in Japan. Like, that's just how they inflect. Okay, so let's move on to English dub. Okay, so my rule is that if it's Funimation, it tends to be better than anything else. Funimation really focuses on getting it as accurate as it possibly can. Okay, so the pros of this would be that, well, for me, I'm able to understand what's going on a lot better. I'm able to get a lot more attached to the characters, and they sound like more like normal people instead of in like some weird language with a differently pitched voice. It sounds more normal to me. Another pro of this would be that people who are just starting, I mean, like, some people are just like turned off because it's just in a different language. You know, they don't want to deal with that. It's a lot easier for people who are just starting or really basic. Like, I usually, whenever I meet anime fans, otakus who watch subbed instead of dubbed, they're usually more like hardcore, usually more like serious, have been doing this for years. I mean, you know what I mean? Have you, like, usually, like, when you find beginner otakus, they're like, it's in English. They watch English dub stuff. It's usually what they do, because, like, if you're new to this whole thing, you don't want to have different animation styles on top of another language. So that's usually what goes on. A con of this would be that it's not the original intent of what the Japanese author intended it to be. There's different words, it just doesn't change right, it just doesn't, it's weird. Like, instead of saying, you know, like, baka, which means stupid, like, yeah, but, like, as an example, like, in Inuyasha, when they would say, they actually say baka a lot, but in the dub, they say idjit. Instead of idiot, they say idjit, which, you know, baka means kind of stupid. So they could have easily said that, but to match the flaps, and flaps is like the mouth movements so like when you open up your mouth, like when anime character opens up their mouth and closes it, that's called a flap. To match the flaps, baka, and that's the flap. Instead of saying stupid, they say idjit, because it matches the flap a lot better.
That's me, all right. Amari Nobunaga, world's biggest idjit and fool.
That's kind of how it is. It's, you know, that's just a small, that's just one example. There's a lot more examples, but that's only one I can really think of off the top of my head that's the easiest to understand. So, yeah, that would probably be the worst part of it, is that, it's not really what they intended it to be, which is why it's really nice to have the DVD, because then you can put subtitles on, and it's the subtitles of the original Japanese form, what the actual Japanese was. As closer, actually, than what it was with the flaps, because with the flaps, when it's dubbed, it has to match the flaps, it has to match the mouth movements. But when it's subtitled, it doesn't have to do that. So it's a lot easier to understand what they actually meant, but still be able to, like, hear it. But I recommend doing that, like, after you've really gotten into something for, like, a year or so. So you know the dub really well. If you know the dub really well, then I would suggest putting on the original subtitles. Like, then check out the DVD from the library or whenever you buy it. Put on the subtitles, and then that'll be the original. So that's what I recommend. And so then you can really, like, tell what they're talking about. You can really understand. Another con of dub... This is the one that really bothers me. Like, the only thing that I really, really absolutely hate about the dub is that English people cannot pronounce Japanese names. Is that just me? Does that bother you too?
Yeah.
Like, okay, so, for an example, we'll go to the newly dubbed SA, Special A. And there's Tadashi. Tadashi? That's how, Tadashi. But they call him Tadashi. And it's like, wrong emphasis. Then Hikari versus Hikari. They call her Hikari.
Yeah.
Like, you can hear that. It's her, the main girl character's name is Hikari. But in English, they say Hikari. Because we don't have, it's an American pronunciation.
Hikari?
And that's probably the biggest problem I have. Especially when you start off, when you watch an anime that there isn't a dub yet, so you're ending up watching it in subbed, then you get used to how they say it. You get used to the Hikari, 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 Takashima, Takashima, you know, you get used to that, but then when you watch a dub, it's like Hikari. And it just sounds so weird and so not real. Like, it doesn't sound genuine. So, like, there are several examples of this, and another problem is that when you start watching something and so you get used to hearing their voice like that, and then you start in another dub, or like in English dub versus subbed, it sounds so weird to have a different voice. Like, I actually started reading Fruits Basket before I watched it, and for some reason, like the entire series of Fruits Basket, Yuki's voice bothered me so much. Cause like, well, now that I've seen it all several times over, I can't imagine it any other way. But it just didn't sound right, because that's just not what I imagined it to sound like. So anyway, so that's basics, pros and cons of sub versus dubbed, and I mean, leave your comments below what you prefer. Keep in mind, guys, whenever you hear somebody say that they don't like a certain thing, because like I get that a lot, like they like say like, oh, the dub is stupid. I'm like, well, I watched the dub. What's wrong with the dub? You know. It's all an opinion. It's all a matter of opinion and what you like and how genuine, not really genuine, but like how well you relate to the things, and what matters in the end is that you're watching it and that you're getting the story. However it affects you, as long as you're getting that feeling, as long as you're crying when they cry, as long as you're laughing when they laugh, and as long as you're, you know, angry when they're angry, that's what matters. The actual story, the actual plotline, the characters. It's not how you get that information. It's the fact that you got that really good information. It's a matter of that you read that story, you know that story, not how you got to it, but like how you know it. So anyway, so that's all I have for today, and hopefully I'll get this edited soon so you guys can see it soon. All right, so I love you guys. See you guys later. You want to say goodbye with me? Bye. Bye.
I'm here too, Shikubo. I'm here too, Shikubo. Shikubo. I'm here too, Shikubo.